Platformism is a tendency within the anarchist movement. It stresses the need for tightly organized anarchist organizations that are able to influence working class and peasant movements. Platformist groups reject the model of Leninist vanguardism. They aim, instead, to make anarchist ideas the leading ideas within the class struggle. The four main principles by which an anarchist organization should operate, according to platformists, are ideological unity, tactical unity, collective responsibility, and federalism. In general, platformist groups aim to win the widest possible influence for anarchist ideas and methods in the working class and peasantry, like especifismo groups. Platformists orient towards the working class rather than to the extreme the left. This usually entails a willingness to work in single-issue campaigns, trade unionism and community groups, and to fight for immediate reforms while linking this to a project of building popular consciousness and organization. They therefore reject approaches that they believe will prevent this, such as insurrectionist anarchism, as well as views that dismiss activity in the unions, or that dismiss anti-imperialist movements. The name platformist derives from the 1926 organizational platform of the General Union of Anarchists. This was published by the group of Russian anarchists abroad in the journal Die Truda. The group, which consisted of exiled Russian anarchist veterans of the 1917 October Revolution, based the platform on their experiences of the revolution and the eventual victory of the Bolsheviks over the anarchists and other groups. The platform attempted to address and explain the anarchist movement's failures during the Russian Revolution outside of the Ukraine. The document drew both praise and criticism from anarchists worldwide and sparked a major debate within the anarchist movement. Today, platformism is an important current in international anarchism. Around 30 platformist and especifist organizations are linked together in the Anarchismo.Net project, including groups from Africa, Latin America, North America and Europe. At least in terms of the number of affiliated organizations, the Anarchismo network is larger than other anarchist international bodies, like the Synthesist International of Anarchist Federations and the Anarcho-Syndicalist International Workers Association. It is not, however, a formal international and has no intention of competing with these other formations. Organizational ideas. The platform describes four key organizational features which distinguish platformism. Tactical unity. A common tactical line in the movement is of decisive importance for the existence of the organization and the whole movement. It avoids the disastrous effect of several tactics opposing each other. It concentrates the forces of the movement and gives them a common direction leading to a fixed objective. Theoretical unity. Theory represents the force which directs the activity of persons and organizations along a defined path towards a determined goal. Naturally, it should be common to all the persons and organizations adhering to the General Union. All activity by the General Union, both overall and in its details, should be in perfect concord with the theoretical principles professed by the Union. Collective responsibility. The practice of acting on one's personal responsibility should be decisively condemned and rejected in the ranks of the anarchist movement. The areas of revolutionary life, social and political, are above all profoundly collective by nature. Social revolutionary activity in these areas cannot be based on the personal responsibility of individual militants. Federalism against centralism. Anarchism has always professed and defended the principle of federalism, which reconciles the independence and initiative of individuals and the organization with service to the common cause. The platform argues that we have vital need of an organization which, having attracted most of the participants in the anarchist movement, would establish a common tactical and political line for anarchism and thereby serve as a guide for the whole movement. Unity, in short, meant unity of ideas and actions, as opposed to unity on the basis of the anarchist label. Publication history. The organizational platform of the General Union of Anarchists was written in 1926 by the Group of Russian Anarchists Abroad, a group of exiled Russian and Ukrainian anarchists in France who published the Die journal. The pamphlet is an analysis of basic anarchist beliefs, a vision of an anarchist society, and recommendations as to how an anarchist organization should be structured. Antecedents of the platform. The authors of the platform insisted that its basic ideas were not new, but had a long anarchist pedigree. Platformism is not, therefore, a revision away from classical anarchism, or a new approach, but a restatement of existing positions. They cited Peter Kropotkin arguing that the formation of an anarchist organization in Russia, far from being prejudicial to the common revolutionary task, on the contrary, it is desirable and useful to the very greatest degree, and argued that Bakunin's aspirations concerning organizations, as well as his activity in the First International, give us every right to view him as an active partisan of just such an organization. Indeed, practically all active anarchist militants fought against all dispersed activity, and desired an anarchist movement welded by unity of ends and means. Problems caused by poor translations. Until recently, the platform was known in English as the Organizational Platform of the Libertarian Communists, a result of its having been translated from the French edition popularized in the early 1970s. Alexandre Skurda, in his book Facing the Enemy, A History of Anarchist Organization from Proudhon to May 1968, attributes much of the controversy about the platform to the original 1926 French translation made by its opponent Valine. Later translations to French have corrected some of the mistranslations, and the latest English translation, made directly from the Russian original, reflects this. Other terms. Some platformist organizations today are unhappy with the designation, often preferring to use descriptions such as anarchist communist, social anarchist, libertarian communist, socialist, or even specifist. Most agree that the 1926 platform was sorely lacking in certain areas, and point out that it was a draft document, never intended to be adopted in its original form. The Italian FDC, for example, do not insist on the principle of tactical unity, which according to them is impossible to achieve over a large area, preferring instead tactical homogeneity. The platform today. Today there are organizations inspired by the platform in many countries, including the Workers' Solidarity Movement in Ireland, Black Rose Anarchist Federation, Fédération Anarchiste Rosa Negra in the United States, the Union Communiste Libertaire in Quebec, Common Cause in Ontario, the Prairie Struggle Organization in the Canadian Prairies, the Fédération Communiste Libertaria and Organisation Comunista Libertaria in Chile, the Federación Anarco-Comunista de Argentina and Linea Anarco-Comunista in Argentina, the Federazione di Comunista Anarchici in Italy, the Coordinação Anarquista Brasileira in Brazil, Union Socialista Libertaria in Peru, the Organisation Comunista Libertaire and Alternative Libertaire in France, the Alianza de los Comunistas Libertarios in Mexico, the Melbourne Anarchist Communist Group and Sydney Anarchist Communist Trajectory in Australia, Motmakt in Norway, Libertaire Socialista in Denmark, Collective Action in the UK, the Zabalaza Anarchist Communist Front in South Africa, and the Revolutionary Confederation of Anarcho-Syndicalists by the name of N. MACNO, which is an international anarcho-syndicalist platformist confederation with sections and individual members in Ukraine, Russia, Georgia, Germany, Latvia, Bulgaria and Israel. Organizations inspired by the platform were also among the founders of the now-defunct International Libertarian Solidarity Network and its successor, the Anarchismo Network, which is run collaboratively by roughly 30 platformist and specificist organizations around the world. Criticisms. The platform attracted strong criticism from some sectors on the anarchist movement at the time, including some of the most influential anarchists such as Valine, Errico Malatesta, Luigi Fabbri, Camillo Berneri, Max Nettlenau, and Alexander Berkman, Emma Goldman, and Gregory Maximoff. The synthesist alternative. As an alternative to platformism, Valine and Sebastian Faure proposed synthesist anarchist federations, which they envisioned to form under the principles of anarchism without adjectives, in place of the platform's stress on tight political and organizational unity. The synthesist approach argued for a far looser organization that would maximize numbers, i.e. a big tent approach. Platformists view such organizations as weak despite the numbers, as the lack of common views means an inability to undertake common actions, defeating the purpose of a common organization. Malatesta's shift to agreement with collective responsibility. While such criticisms indicated a direct rejection of the platform's proposals, others seem to have arisen from misunderstandings. Notably, Malatesta initially believed that the platform was typically authoritarian, and, far from helping to bring about the victory of anarchist communism, to which they aspire, could only falsify the anarchist spirit and lead to consequences that go against their intentions. However, after further correspondence with MACNO, and after seeing a platformist group information, Malatesta concluded that he was actually in agreement with the positions of the platform, but had been confused by the language they had used. But all this is perhaps only a question of words. In my reply to MACNO, I already said, it may be that, by the term collective responsibility, you mean the agreement and solidarity that must exist among the members of an association. And if that is so, your expression would, in my opinion, amount to an improper use of language, and therefore, being only a question of words, we would be closer to understanding each other. And now, reading what the comrades of the 18E say, I find myself more or less in agreement with the way of conceiving the anarchist organization, and I confirm my belief that behind the linguistic differences really lie identical positions.